Oh, speak, bitch. Come on now. Well, me oh my, down on the bayou, Tony Schiavone wasn't just a little bit extra spicy on commentary. It's like he woke up in the morning and said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to call Mariah May a bitch, but I need to be in the right frame of mind. I'm going to take 5 ghost peppers in this hand. I'm going to take 5 ghost peppers in this hand, and I'm going to ingest them, and then I'm going to wash them down with 3 balls of Tabasco sauce. 3 balls in each hand, because I'm going to spit that hot fire like only Tony Schiavone can. Tony Schiavone, who starred with Jim Crockett Promotions all the way back in 1983, was out of wrestling for nearly 20 years, came back because Tony Khan said, I loved you in WCW, I'm going to offer you a big goddamn check, but Tony Schiavone has decided, I'm just going to spit that hot fire at Mariah May. She wants to dress like Timeless Tony Storm. I'm going to call her a bitch. Nah, this is the greatest bitch call in the history of our sport. My, oh goddamn my. Tony Schiavone with one of the best lines of the goddamn year, because he said, I'm just gonna have fun. Because everybody has fun in the land of all elite. I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite episode 250 from the Simmons Bank Arena in North Little Rock, Arkansas. I know it's Arkansas. Work with me here. Alright, 18,000 seat capacity, and according to WrestleTix, they had maybe 3 to 3,500 people there. I will say for the setup, they had the fans tried to make the most noise, but good God, they sounded just like they were bouncing off the walls, bouncing off the ceiling. Don't run NBA-sized arenas unless you can promote the shit properly. Now, I will say this show started out fine, and we're building up to blood and guts next week. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. So, we jump right into MJF's entrance. He gets a decent pop, and they're just throwing this match right out there. They're like, okay, we announced 3 matches, we have a couple talking segments, and I'm like, okay, they're going to have standby matches, or they're just going to add something last minute. No, they goddamn didn't. They were keeping the camera tight on the ring, though. Yes, they shot some of the crowd, but they only had him in one corner. I mean, I know this is a recurring thing, and this happens at some AEW tapings, and sometimes they draw a decent crowd. And I know that Little Rock is probably not the hotbed it was when Bill Watts ran it, all the way back in, the dark ages, I kid, in, of course, the 80s. But Jesus, tap, dancing Christ. So, Maxwell Jacob Friedman against Will Ospreay for the International Incident Championship. 60-minute time limit, that's important. Look, I was tipped off that this match basically almost went the distance. It almost went for speed. And the fans were all alone with the space for weed. I don't know how to really finish that. I was tipped off this match was going to go long. Now, I'm not going to break down every single move that was done. Is this one of the best matches of the year? That's up to you guys. There were a lot of things I liked in this match. There were things I didn't like. There were times where I think you try to do a little bit too much. I still say this doesn't measure up to the 2 out of 3 falls match that FTR, and White Juice had about just over a year ago last year. Man, that's hard to believe it's been that long. But MJF basically gets into the crowd. He throws water on a guy. A guy tries to fist bump a guy. A guy flips him off. I don't know why that was so funny. And he rips up a guy's sign. They're stalling as expected. There was a dive a few minutes in. I will say this is the most selling I have seen Ospreay do in a match in a while. There was a backdrop into a stunner. That was nice. A cutter. MJF basically pulls him back into the ring. Hot shots him. Gets the cutter on him there. We get a dive, we get a missed moonsault, and then we get a standing shooting star press. That was nicely done. And then, basically, I don't know why Will felt the need to get the timekeeper's table. You need a table bump in here. I'm sorry, you didn't. I just don't think you did. But we get a stuffed pile driver, then he mocks Garcia, MJF does. We get knee focus. We get the figure 4. Commentary mentions how thick Will is. No, really, they talked about that. They also mentioned the humidity, which I imagine is probably really hot in Arkansas. And probably really hot in the building. Maybe they didn't want to pay for the AC to be on, considering they only had about 3,000 people in there. But MJF kept, doing some heel tactics. He would also focus on the shoulder. There was an Os cutter, a rollout, and then he dodges the Os cutter on the apron. Will looking really stupid here. Break 23 minutes in. They said limited commercial interruptions, and you know what? I think we had 3 or 4 breaks during this, and it was nearly a full goddamn hour. We get a Made in Japan from MJF. We get, a rack bomb from Will. They go into the crowd, and a little girl is hitting MJF. And look, it's great that the kids are interacting and everything. Enjoy your freedom, kid, because if more people in states like Arkansas and others don't actually vote properly, kids won't have any rights, and kids won't be able to do anything, especially women. So let's vote properly. Off my soapbox here. So anyway, we get a table tease. We get a Poison Rana. Why? Just why? Why? Stop with the Poison Rana. We get a Long Island Sunrise for 2. We then get another table tease. And then at one point, MJF bites the bicep, more like a bitecep. Har har. And yeah, they did good shit here. The doctor got wet at one point, Dr. Sampson. There was a big kick into the rail. Just before that, we get a crossroads. That was nice. And then an eye poke. Hammerlock DDT. Second break is 41 minutes into the show, roughly thereabouts. I did like the lariat that was hit before that. That was pretty nice. And then chops, a hidden blade on the dive. That was a nice shot. That was good. And then we get more covers. We get some roll-ups. We're 50 minutes in with an abdominal stretch. We're cooking here. I haven't loved every single thing they've done, but I've loved enough of it. There was a bomb onto the knee. That looked really painful. And then a cheeky Nando's. A Poison Rana. And MJF lands on his feet. And then MJF does a Hurricanrana. Will lands on his feet. They're never going to create the moment with him and Kota Ibushi, mainly because Kota Ibushi I don't think is going to wrestle again. Or at least he's not going to wrestle well again. So, Spanish Fly for 2. Will is selling his arm, at least enough here, and selling the fact that his neck is fucked. It's held together with super glue and duct tape. We then get a hidden blade for 2. And then he teases the Tiger Driver. We have 1 minute left. See, if they had called every 5 minutes, 5 minutes have gone by, 55 minutes left. 10 minutes have gone by, 50 minutes left. 20 minutes have gone by, 35 minutes left. Because Justin Roberts probably can't do math, because we know he doesn't like to go past 16, allegedly. So, we get a ref bump, and we got the closing moments, ring shot, the clock's ticking, 1, 2, 3, 58, or 59, 58. That's it. MJF is the new International Incident Champion. They give him the oxygen and everything. That's actually kind of funny. At least they didn't put it over his goddamn forehead like they did last time. And new champ. There you go. Ospreay's being checked on. So far, it's like a real wrestling promotion. And don't get me wrong, AEW, when they do shit right, they're a great alternative. And they present some great stuff. But then, we go with something that we needed because we needed to add more people to Team AEW. The Acclaimed are talking to Mark Briscoe and say, we want to be on Team AEW. And then he says, well, it's not just my decision. Here's Swerve. And Swerve says, yeah, we've had our battles. Why not? Then the Learning Tree came out. Chris Jericho, he probably aligns with the views of the Arkansas governor. And if you know who that is, that idiot, that fucking goddamn moron, oh boy. Oh, you could easily school that governor. You could school pretty much any governor, like, of the Bible Belt, because they're not smart. They're definitely not smart. So, Suzuki comes out and says next week, and then an executive order, whatever thing. Brian Keith and Bill are banned from ringside. Oh, no. Look, I respect Suzuki. I'm glad he got over his health issue, but good God, that's going to be painful. That's going to be painful. Jericho can't go anymore. Suzuki honestly should hang it up. He doesn't need to be doing this anymore. And then the Bucks and Okada watch Mercedes dance. I don't know why all this money was spent on people that don't even want to take things seriously. Nyla and Mercedes had a TBS championship match, and I'm happy that Nyla's getting more TV. Granted, she's jobbing a lot. I wonder who the person in the Sting mask was. It's Britt Baker, by the way. I did like the part where it looked like Mercedes was going to try to DDT her. And she said, "Are you out of your mind?" I don't know why. Or have you lost your mind? It's just so good. It's so good. So good that I screwed it up. But that knee off the top, that's great shit. That was just for 2. The match is okay. I'm not buying this with Mercedes. I'm just not. I'm glad she's getting paid a shit pot full of money. She's going to be meaningless whenever she decides to go back to WWE. If she does, she might just end up going to Hollywood to get a bunch of roles she's not good at. But eventually she did hit Meteora, then she got a glove out with nails to try and do the lockjaw. And she couldn't do that, so she ends up getting the crossface that they call the statement maker. Subtle. And she gets the victory. So thanks for coming, Nyla. And then Britt Baker was in the Sting mask, and then security's trying to separate him. They're trying. I know what I was trying to do. I was trying to not, get too scared and aroused by the, recaps of the Mariah May turn. It was very well done. Jack Perry then says, "Do you think I give a shit about Brandon Cutler?" No, no one does, and we don't give a shit about you. Also, he beat him up in a boiler room for some reason, or threw him into a boiler room. Can we just send all of the elite into the boiler room, including Okada? I don't want to see Okada anymore. Mariah May comes out dressed like Timeless Tony Storm, and then, "Oh, speak, bitch, come on." Was Shivani, what was that? I mean, that was like a little bit much. Like, what in the world? I mean, was he just drunk? What did Mariah just refuse any pitches that he made? Like, goddamn. Anyway, Mariah basically said, "You're probably all wondering what took me so long. Well, it was fun. It was fun to string Tony along, and now I'm going to take everything from her. Why take Old Yeller out back when I can basically, take her out in front, or the horse, Old Yeller, whatever. Why do that when I can beat her in Wembley Stadium?" They did what her to death. I didn't like that. It's one of the worst things that goddamn Steve Austin ever perpetrated on wrestling. I mean, it's almost as painful as him beating 2 of his wives, allegedly. But Mariah basically liked how Tony was on her knees, bloody and screaming her name. Why can't I find a woman to treat me like that? Moving on. She then poses like Tony and rides around and everything. And hey, I'm excited for this match. It ought to be interesting. So, trios bullshit. So they stripped the trios titles from Juice and the Guns, because I guess Jay White's either out injured or something. I don't know. And they don't give them to the Patriarchy. They have the Patriarchy against the Gangbang Gang on Collision. Why didn't you just do a best of 5 series? Why didn't you... Why? Who came up with this idea? Speaking of bad ideas, Swerve versus Okada, Champ versus Champ. Oh, look, we're getting an overrun. Oh, look, we got a bunch of run-ins. They maybe not want to watch Okada. Bunch of run-ins. Hangman shows up to confront Swerve. We don't quite get that yet. And then Darby getting a Sting, an intro thing, drops down. And then they have their big fight and whatever. Well, it was at least fun while it lasted for about the first hour. It was actually pretty good. And then it went right back into the bullshit. It wasn't the worst episode of Dynamite. At least MJF and Ospreay gave us something to talk about positively. But yeah, next week, Blood and Guts. I will be watching that on delay. And I might even just take a day and review it Thursday. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I got movie reviews coming up if you guys want to watch them. I got plenty that I posted. Maybe reviewing Twisters and Oddity. Possibly a movie called National Anthem. And you'll see. A lot of movies coming up. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.